Hello to our friends and family from the Financial Advisory Group. Well, here we are. We made it to spring. Although us in the Northeast, I'm not really sure it feels like spring yet. It's as I've continued my morning running tradition. I went out for a run about 2 weeks ago and it was close to 70 degrees. A week later, I went out and it was snowing on me. So welcome to the Northeast in spring. But we know what's coming, right? The days are getting longer. The weather will eventually get better. So good things are on the way and looking forward to spring coming our way. Just wanted to send along our normal sort of monthly video update. A couple little thoughts on markets and things, but in general, our views haven't changed that much, which has sort of been a theme of ours the last year or two. And then hit on another topic, this year to focus on things we can't control. What about the things we can? We'll have a special guest who will make us an appearance to walk us through what's a Roth conversion. Why do we hear so much about that these days? So as we move into some of our thoughts here today on the markets, it's all about expectations right now, right? Man, these last 4 months have been great. For anyone who's been looking at statements, let's just appreciate it, right? It's appreciate how strong this market has been the last 4 months. And it makes sense. We've said it for a year or two that things are better than people think they are. We can always find problems. We can always find that one rock that's black as opposed to the 10 rocks that are green and find the problems. We're good at that. But there's more good things out there than bad right now. We're not saying it's perfect, but remember, we don't want to miss out on good and great because we're chasing perfect. So what about these expectations? When markets rally like this, we tend to get excited. Let's just put a pause on some of this, right? Historically, when you get a 4-month run like this, normally you're going to get a market that hits a little bit of a pause, right? If you look at the number of days since the S&P 500 has had a decline of 2%, which is just a 2% fall, we're now at 271 days. That's the second longest stretch in the last 25 years. What does that tell you is coming? Not tomorrow, but at some point, that's coming, right? The analogy we'd like to make is as a runner, I'll be running the Boston Marathon in a couple weeks. And if I start that too quickly, I'll get tired. Well, the market the last 4 months has started this race very quickly. So it's not that the market's not going to finish the race. It would make sense for the market to get tired right now, to slow down a little bit. If you look at our second slide here, you can see historically about this time in an election year, markets tend to get tired. We had a great start to the year, as most election years go, followed by typically a little pause in the market, right? We started this race too quickly, and that's okay. So just having the right expectations right now, short term is, I think, important. Longer term, this is where we tend to get, but it is an election year. What does this mean? We love this chart for this purpose. Guess what? Every 4 years, we have one of these things. Big picture, elections come and go. Markets just keep going. You can look at this screen we have up here with 100 years of data, and the markets don't really care who's in the White House. I know each year, each party is going to try to tell you they do. We really like focusing in on these last 3 terms of Obama, Trump, and Biden. No matter how you slice it, they're 3 very different people, right? I think we can all agree. There's not much we agree on, but we can agree on that. And what has Microsoft stock done during all 3 of their terms? It's gone up. What has the market done during all 3 of their terms? It's gone up. And I'll pick on Microsoft. Microsoft stock isn't up because of anything Obama did, or Trump did, or Biden did. Microsoft stock is up because they continue to make fantastic business decisions and have great management. At the end of the day, the market goes up because we have great people running great companies, not because of who wins any election. So in years like this, we just want to make sure we're focusing on the right thing. So short term, right, expectations, let's keep them in check right now. Longer term, we think companies like Microsoft are positioned to do very well for the next 1 to 3 years. Who knows about the next 1 to 3 months, right? We're not going to make a guess on that. So some thoughts on that. Now, I'll turn it over to our guest speaker. Most of you in our office here are coming in, or of our clients, I've met Mary Winand. She's our newest partner, became a partner in the firm about 15 months ago. We're proud to have her on board as a partner. Started with us about 8 years ago as an intern from York College and has made her way up to being a partner, and she's a huge piece of this company. She is our head of the financial planning department, and we're going to turn it over to here for a minute or two to sort of walk us through what is this Roth conversion stuff we talk about. So without further ado, here's Mary Winand.
Hi everyone. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Mary Winand. I have been with the group for just over 8 years, and this is actually my very first time making a guest appearance on a video. And I'm going to be talking through Roth conversions, just talking through what is a Roth conversion, when does it make sense to do one, is it a good idea, what should I be considering? And I'll start with the basics, which is explaining the difference between a traditional IRA and a Roth IRA. So with the traditional IRA, it's money, if you make a contribution, it's money that you're not paying tax on today. So there's an immediate tax benefit to making a traditional IRA contribution. The account grows tax deferred. And then when you take a distribution from a traditional IRA, that's when you pay tax on it. So there's no tax owed now, grows tax deferred, and then tax is owed later whenever you take a distribution. With the Roth IRA, it's totally opposite. So if you make a Roth IRA contribution today, there's no immediate tax benefit to doing that. The account still grows tax deferred. And then when you take a distribution from a Roth IRA, there's no tax due. So you can think of a traditional IRA and a Roth IRA as two separate silos. Even though they're both geared towards retirement, they're both great ways to accumulate for retirement. Both grow tax deferred. Because of the difference in the tax benefits associated with them, they do have to stay as two entirely separate accounts. And because the traditional IRAs were introduced in the 70s, where the Roth IRAs weren't introduced until the late 90s and didn't really become a part of 401k plans until closer to 2010, most retirees today spent their careers accumulating into traditional IRAs. So now their question today is, should we be doing Roth conversions, which is basically taking money from the traditional silo and pouring it into the Roth silo. Continues to grow tax deferred, but then when you take distributions from a Roth IRA, it's tax-free. But remember to take distributions from a traditional IRA, because it's never been taxed, there would be tax due on doing the conversion. And the way our tax system works is it's tiered. So if we can do a Roth conversion in these two lower tax brackets, that would be the ultimate goal. That would be amazing. But then we just want to be mindful that if you're married filing jointly and your taxable income exceeds $90-ish thousand, you would then jump from the 12% tax bracket to the 22% tax bracket. And we have people asking if they should convert their whole IRA from traditional to Roth IRA. And in some circumstances, that would throw them into the 37% tax bracket. So we just want to be mindful of, it's great that the Roth IRAs are then never taxed when you take a distribution. But if that means jumping you from the 12% to the 32% bracket now, does that make sense? So taxes are a big part of the conversation when doing Roth conversions, but there are some other things to consider. One of them being Social Security, which the way Social Security works is if you're a recipient of Social Security, the amount of tax that or the taxation of Social Security is dictated by the amount of other income sources. So outside of Social Security, depending on how great your income is, dictates how much of your Social Security benefit is taxed. So in some circumstances, Social Security might be the only income source. And if that is the case, actually none of your Social Security is taxed from a federal level. And again, the greater that other income is, the more your Social Security benefit is taxed, and it can be taxed up to 85%. So that's something to consider when making Roth conversions. Is it going to make your Social Security more taxable? Because again, to do a conversion, it creates more taxable income. Temporarily, it decreases your net worth because you're basically volunteering to pay tax on it now to allow tax-free distributions later. So simple math, if you do a $100,000 of Roth conversion, you might owe $20,000, depending on your tax bracket. But you would be volunteering to remove that $20,000 from your net worth because that the tax is owed. So then your net worth is decreased temporarily. And then depending on growth over time, it could take a little bit of time for your net worth to reach break even. And then it can continue to grow from there. But depending on the amount of the conversion, it could really significantly decrease your net worth temporarily. So that's something to consider, to be comfortable with, kind of understanding that. And then the next thing is IRMA, which that's an acronym. It's Income Related Monthly Adjusted Amount. And that's an acronym that is associated with Medicare. So with Medicare, not a lot of people realize that that's also income sensitive. So the higher your income is, the more you might end up paying in Medicare. And the way Medicare works is there's certain thresholds that if your income exceeds it even by $1 for that year, then your Medicare Part B and your Part D, you could end up paying a surcharge for. So that's a big thing with Medicare recipients is, does it make sense to do a Roth conversion if then a couple of years later, you're going to be paying more for Medicare? So there's definitely a lot of things to factor with Roth conversions. Sometimes it makes total sense. It's a no-brainer. Let's do them. In other circumstances, depending on taxation, healthcare, Social Security, maybe it just doesn't make sense.
Thank you, Mary, for educating us on Roth Conversions 101. It's certainly a topic, like we talked about, that we continue to hear more and more about. And part of our goal in this series in 2024 is to educate and cover some topics that we feel are timely. Piggybacking off of the Roth conversion idea, the world we live in today, there's more options today than ever, right? It's more complex than ever, whether Roth versus traditional, whether should I use a trust or not a trust. When you go to McDonald's, you have more options than you've ever had before. Sometimes, to quote Leonardo da Vinci, simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. That's something we keep coming back to in 2024, whether it's how we should invest, whether it's what decisions we should make on things like Roth conversions, is sometimes there's not a need to make life more complex than it already is. So if there's a need, let's tackle that, take on the complexity. But sometimes it's okay to stick with the simple solution. So as we head into Easter weekend, we want to just wish everyone a great time, hopefully getting to spend time with family and friends. As always, we just want to pass along our sincere thanks for the trust and confidence you continue to place in us. We look forward to a good spring coming up. The weather will get better, the days are getting longer, and just do your best to make this spring the best one yet. Thank you.